Hello and good afternoon to all presenters and participants of Intraspect Conference 2020. It is my great pleasure to present my paper at this conference, and I look forward to getting feedbacks from you. My name is Hafzan Zannie bin Hamzah, and I'm going to present my paper entitled Dancing, Choreographing, Playing and Performing, Mind or Play in Malay Folk Dance. This paper discussed the concept of mind or play in its traditional context of production, specifically in Malay folk dance as practiced and performed by the beholders of that tradition, and compare the concept with tari and menari or dance and dancing on the proscenium stage. I'll begin this presentation with an overview of the Malay folk dances in Malaysia, specifically on Zapin dance tradition, as it will be used to explain the concept of mind throughout the paper. From there, I'll discuss about the concept of mind versus play. After that, I'll discuss about mind from the perspective of improvisation as its performative strategies within Zapin dance tradition that includes mind as improvisatory dancing, mind as play and playing, and mind as choreographic process, and last but not least, I'll conclude the presentation. The Malay folk dances are generally accepted to be of 4 different genres, namely Asli, Inang, Joget, and Zapin. Asli, Inang, and Joget are known for their origins from Rogeng dance tradition, while Zapin, which is the focus of this paper, is the oldest form of syncretic folk dance that has survived to this day in Malaysia. Tari or dance could also be regarded as main, joget, gencok, tanda, igal, sayau, and totor by different performing communities. Tari or tarian are exclusive and restrictive, while the others are inclusive and embracing, and are performed at social events to be participated by all present. Earlier research suggests that tari or tarian referred to the formally arranged movements or choreographed pieces performed by trained dancers to be viewed. Tari or tarian is typically presented on stage settings in a performance style that is understood and regarded as choreography tradisi, in which compositional and creative processes comprise pre-arranged dance motifs that utilize thematic flow patterns. Every aspect of performance is made to reproduce a formalized presentational dance, which is essentially audience-oriented on the proscenium stage. This type of dancing gives preference to keseragaman or uniformity, usually with synchronized movement motifs, and employs symmetrical and asymmetrical flow patterns. Tari or tarian is commonly presented in a typical performance style and audience-oriented that reflect the choreographies that were considered to be representative of Malaysian traditional choreography, which evolved from the choreographed dances portrayed in Malay movies in the 1950s until 1970s, and later based on what has been performed by National Culture Complex or Complex Budaya Negara from the 1970s onwards. Zapin, Inang, Joget, and Asli repertoires were choreographed based on the standard repertoire of the national dance troupe in those years, adapting so-called formasi tradisi or traditional dance formation. Every aspect of dance performance today is made to duplicate from what was performed by the national dance troupe, which are essentially audience-oriented on proscenium stage. It is a display of a product of learned experiences, rehearsed, memorized, structured, and controlled for stage purposes. This paper argues that the presentational style of Malay folk dance in a performance setting within the framework of tari or tarian is inadequate because the construction of the form neglects vital elements including call and response and improvisation in participatory presentational dancing, which are pillars to the concept of communication and spontaneity embedded within the form of mind or play as practiced by the beholders of Malay folk dance within its specific cultural settings. To explain this argument further, I contrast the term tari or tarian with the concept of mind in Malay Zapin. Literally, mind in Malay means playing or having fun as in sports or in performance. The term mind is not an alien term to the Malays or Malay performing arts communities in general. It is widely used in their daily life and also used in other Malay traditional performing arts such as main kuda kepang, main putri, main makyong, and main wayang to refer to its performance as a form of performance or the act of performing the form. However, it is inadequate to translate interpret, or substitute the term mind to an English term play. The etymology of play comes from the Anglo-Saxon plega, plegan, meaning primarily play or to play, that involves all kinds of bodily activity. Richard Schechner pointed out that play's performance, as well as performative in nature, perform in an orderly sequence of actions in specified places for known durations of time. It is important to distinguish play from games that is more explicitly structured, rule-bound, occurs in designated places with obvious players and outcomes which obviously contradict with mind as play throughout this discussion. The concept of mind does not restricted to the narrow definition of dance or global understanding of dancing as performing on proscenium stage. Therefore, understanding the term dance is our first task so as to determine whether it is sufficient to encompass the term mind as a whole. Adrian Kepler argued that the term dance cannot be simply transferred from Western languages and concepts to languages and concepts in very different cultures and movement systems. Within the Zapin community of practice, the term mind may refer to dance or dancing. Both terms are also used interchangeably to denote its performance style in different performance contexts. In its cultural context of production, traditional Zapin performers do not consider Zapin as tarian or dance, but as mind or playing a game. Thus, to perform Zapin is to play or mind Zapin. Muhammad Anis Matnor termed the word mind as game and play performance. The terms denote the act of playing the dance or play performance as in mind Zapin or Zapin gameplay performance. The construction of mind Zapin relies heavily on call and response, and it is realized in an improvisatory manner. The relationship of dance movements and the structural Zapin musics binds and regulates the mind activity. Mind Zapin is regulated in its musical structure, namely the taksim, pantun, kopa, and ends with wa'inap. The structure of musical sounds are significant markers in determining specific structural movement units. In the course of a mind, the dancers are responsive to the musical sounds, interacting with the musicians, and are informed about the dance movement required to be performed. For instance, taksim is when the dancers enter the space with salutation, pantun is when the dance motif execution and play takes place, kopa is when the dancers squatting on the 8th beat of the musical section, and wa'inap where the dancers end their play in squatting position. Mind Zapin is played following a specific convention where sections of the dance performance correspond with the musical sections. As musical prelude or taksim begins, all Zapin performers are required to enter the dance space and present a salutation in single file or in double rows. This is to be followed by the linear formation of Zapin performers who dance side by side or facing one another while repeating dance motifs and tracing a recurring forward and backward floor plan. The performers mime or play the dance motifs repetitively in chronological order. Usually one will lead, decide the ragam, and another will catch on and respond to the ragam executed by the lead dancer. This is done in a linear and straightforward dancing, playing the dance motifs repetitively in chronological order. Mind Zapin rely heavily on cues in the form of signals such as hand gestures, action words, and directional words. The cues tell the dancers the what, when, where, and how a movement is done or ends. Hand gestures and action words denotes the movement motifs in numerical order and motifs name, and directional words determine their positions and formations. These cueing systems are signaled by a leader or skillful dancer who understands the colotomic markers in the music. Mind Zapin could also be understood as an impromptu Zapin. It is a product as well as a process whereby the dancers collectively arranging dance motifs and utilizing thematic formations in an extemporaneous manner. Extemporaneous in this sense is where the dance making process arrangement and compositional of motifs happens in situ without prior preparation. In short, stage Zapin is arranged and performed, while impromptu Zapin is just performed. Chronological mind Zapin has some level of seriousness to it by implicitly dictating what and when the dance motifs should progress in an orderly manner, ensuring the development of ragam according to its priority in time and place. Playing Zapin, however, is much looser and more permissive, allowing performers to relax, re-engage with the movement structure, regroup, exiting and entering dance space, recoup, shorten or extend the mind, or even change the repertoire in situ. Performers can easily miss cues. In this situation, he or she will shadow nearby dancers and slowly reintegrate into the team. Such play requires performers' reflexivity and concentration to the call to be able to respond. As the play progresses, performers purposefully playing with the absence of cues, deconstructing the motifs into smaller units as long as they are responsive to the beat and musical sections, and moving in several directions loosely and simultaneously. As play and playing, Zapin performers are free to enter and exit the dance space at any point of time. Observers may passively involve in the play performance as an audience and turn into an active player at any point of time. At present, everything that appeared as traditional movements accompanied by music is regarded as tari or tarian regardless of the nature of the performance. The phrase Main Zapin has a special meaning for practitioners who dance to Malay Zapin music genre as opposed to Tarian Zapin, which refers to the nature of its performance and how it is performed. Main Zapin is an avenue to understand and appreciate Malay folk dances in a profound manner, rather than just a memorized dance performance on stage. In Main Zapin, the dance-making process occurs concurrently with the performance. Dance motifs are arranged and composed as dynamic and collective process in constructing the form. Therefore, the choreographic realization process is also the product of the performance. Mind Zapin is a form that results from selecting, organizing, and arranging dance motifs spontaneously and extemporaneously within a structure of musical sounds. Mind is the underlying system, which is the process that produces the product of play performance known as Mind Zapin. As choreographic process, Mind Zapin explores and challenges individual as well as collective creativity development. Competence in its system is the key to develop creativity by manipulating embodied structures to explore the play performance system and challenge individual or collective competencies. In conclusion, mind in Malay folk dance as discussed in this paper is viewed as a process that occurs concurrently with the performance. This paper discovers how dancing bodies combine grammatical movement knowledge in play performance and improvise in movement and style, adapting to situations that prompt responses from peers as well as enjoying moments of fun during the playing and dancing. The construction of stage dance performance or a presentational style of folk dance neglects vital elements in social dancing, which are call and response and improvisatory dancing. Main Zapin in this regards is a performance style uniquely practiced by traditional Zapin beholders and should be differentiated with presentational Zapin style that required a set of choreography with performance constraints which mirrors the national version of performing styles. Mind Zapin nature is play performance where dance and choreography is constructed simultaneously. In this sense, the notion of mind is not just as a play performance or dancing, but that of spontaneity and flexibility which extends its entire configuration of dancing to choreographing while playing and performing the dance. Thank you.